People always want to know who I hated, who I couldn't stand, who made me miserable out there on the court. And yeah, I've got those stories too. But respect, that's a different thing entirely. Hate is easy. You hate someone because they beat you, because they embarrass you, because they remind you of everything you haven't figured out yet. Respect is harder. Respect means you watched someone do something and thought, I couldn't have done that. Not that day. Maybe not ever. At 58, looking back at everything, 5 names keep coming back to me. 5 guys who made me stop and think, who pushed me somewhere I didn't want to go, but needed to. This isn't about friendship. This isn't about who I liked sharing a locker room with. This is about who earned something from me that I didn't give out easily. Pete Sampras. Now, people ask me about Pete, and they expect me to say rival, competitor, the guy I couldn't beat when it mattered most. And all of that is true. But what they don't understand is Pete Sampras was the standard, not just for me, for everyone walking on a tennis court in the 1990s. You wanted to know where the ceiling was? You looked at Pete. Here's what people miss about him. They talk about the serve, the beautiful flowing game, the 14 grand slams. But what they don't talk about is what he did under pressure. I've been in tough matches. I know what it feels like when your chest tightens and your racket feels like a foreign object in your hand. Pete never had that problem. Big points. He got better. Not a little better. Dramatically better. Like some switch flipped inside him that the rest of us just didn't have. 1995, U.S. Open Final. I'm playing some of the best tennis of my life. I'm confident, I'm sharp, I'm ready. He beats me 6-4, 6-3, 4-6, 7-5. Clinical, surgical, no drama, no emotion, just execution when it counted most. I walked off that court thinking, what do I have to do? What is left? And that question, that frustration, is what pushed me to completely reinvent myself, to hire Brad Gilbert, to figure out who I actually was as a player instead of who I was pretending to be. Pete Sampras made me better because he made me feel like I wasn't good enough yet. That's the highest compliment I know how to give. We're close now, real friends. But on that court in the 90s, he was the mountain I kept trying to climb. And I respect every inch of that mountain. Stefan Edberg. Stefan was already a star when I came on tour as this loud kid with the image and the attitude. And I'll be honest, I looked at him and thought, that's who I want to be. Not the shots, not even the trophies. The way he carried himself. Win or lose, Stefan Edberg walked off that court the same way. Dignified. Quiet. Like he knew something the rest of us were still figuring out. His serve and volley game was something else entirely. In an era when baseliners were starting to take over, Stefan was coming to the net on everything. And not recklessly, with purpose. Every approach was calculated. Every volley was placed, not hit. He made it look simple, and it was the furthest thing from simple. 1992 U.S. Open. I beat him in the final. 4 sets, back and forth, one of the best matches I ever played in my life. But here's what I remember most. The way he competed. Every single point, maximum effort, 0 excuses. When it was over, he shook my hand and looked me in the eye and said, well done. No drama, no looking for reasons. Just class. Pure class. I was 22 years old, and I thought, I want to be that. When I lose, I want to be that. It took me years to actually get there, But Stefan planted that seed. He showed me that you could be great without being loud about it, that the game could speak for itself if you let it. Coming from me, the guy who put image above everything for the first half of his career, that lesson hit different. Jim Courier. Jim and I came up together. Junior tennis, same generation, same circuit. And people always painted us as rivals, which we were. But what people don't know is how much I genuinely respected what Jim did, because I watched him build it from nothing. Jim Courier was not a natural. I say that with complete respect. Pete had that gift, that effortless quality. Jim had grit, determination, a work ethic that honestly embarrassed me sometimes. He outworked everybody. He'd be on the practice court 2 hours before anyone else and 2 hours after. He transformed his body, transformed his game, transformed himself into a world number one. 4 Grand Slams. You don't do that on talent alone. 1991, French Open Final. He beats me. 3-6, 6-4, 2-6, 6-1, 6-4. I let that one slip away, and Jim never did. He was relentless on clay. Heavy topspin, never missing, grinding you down until you made the mistake. Playing Jim on clay was like trying to punch through a wall. You'd hit something good, and he'd just be there, still there, ready to hit the next ball. What I respect most is that Jim never pretended to be something he wasn't. He knew his game. He knew his strengths. And he executed that game better than almost anyone ever has. In a sport full of people trying to manufacture image, Jim Courier just showed up and competed every single day. That kind of consistency is rare. That kind of honesty about yourself is even rarer. Boris Becker. Boris Becker, at 17 years old, won Wimbledon, unseeded. Nobody. Just this big German kid diving all over the grass, serving bombs, playing like he had nothing to lose because he literally had nothing to lose. I watched that as a 15-year-old kid and my jaw hit the floor. That moment changed how I thought about what was possible. Playing Boris was physically intimidating in a way that very few players were. He was big, he was powerful, he came at you from the first ball. No warming up, no feeling out the match. Boris came out swinging. That serve from wide on the deuce court, slicing into your body. I spent years trying to figure that out. Some days I had answers. A lot of days I didn't. But what I respected most wasn't the power. It was the heart. Boris Becker played every match like it was the last match of his life. You could see it in his face, in his body language, in the way he celebrated and the way he suffered. Nothing was hidden. Everything was right there on the surface. In a sport where people sometimes play it cool, Boris wore everything. And somehow, that vulnerability made him more dangerous, not less. 1994, Wimbledon. He beats me in the quarterfinals. I'm playing well. I'm sharp on grass. He just overpowers me, serving at a level I genuinely couldn't handle that day. I walked off thinking, there's nothing I could have done differently. Sometimes you just get beaten by something bigger than your preparation. Boris had those days where he was simply unstoppable. And I have enormous respect for someone who could reach that level, who could turn it on like that when the stage was biggest. Roger Federer. I know. He came after me. He belongs to a different generation. Some people might say it's strange to put him on this list, but I watched Roger Federer play tennis, and I felt something I hadn't felt since I first saw Edberg and Sampras. I felt like I was watching the game being played the way it was supposed to be played. Roger made tennis look easy. And I know better than anyone, It is not easy, not even close. What he did was take every difficult thing about this sport and make it invisible. The footwork, the positioning, the shot selection under pressure, all of it looked natural, relaxed, inevitable. Like the point was always going to end that way. Like he already knew. I had a chance to practice with him early in his career. And standing on the other side of the net, watching the ball come off his racket, there was a clarity to it that I hadn't experienced before. Not pace alone, not spin alone. Just perfect decisions executed perfectly at speed, over and over again. What I respect about Roger beyond the tennis is what he did with his career. He could have coasted. He had enough trophies to fill 3 trophy rooms. Instead, he kept pushing, kept evolving, kept showing up on 20 Grand Slams. He respected the game enough to keep giving it everything. That kind of dedication from someone who didn't need to prove anything anymore, that is the deepest form of respect you can show a sport. At 58, I've had time to sit with all of it. The wins, the losses, the years I wasted not caring, and the years I spent trying to make up for that. These 5 men, they all taught me something about what this game actually asks of you. Pete showed me the ceiling. Stefan showed me the dignity. Jim showed me the work. Boris showed me the heart. Roger showed me the beauty. I didn't always learn those lessons on time. Some of them took years to sink in. But looking back now, I'm grateful I played in an era with men like these. They made me earn every single thing I got. And I wouldn't change one match. Not one.